Now, I'd like to get right into our first session, the fireside chat on mobility of COR. This discussion will touch on the national alignment, interprovincial trade, and practical expectations. We're pleased to have the SCSA President Colin Poulard join us today. Prior to the SCSA, Colin spent several years in the labor market development and technology management roles. He currently serves on the boards of Access Communication and SAS Power, and is completing a Master of Law in Corporate Governance and concentration on worker health and safety. Please give a warm welcome to the very own Colin Poulard, and please, Colin, introduce the rest of our guests we have today.
Great, thanks, Zach. Thanks, Jennifer. I'm going to bring in a couple of folks here, my colleagues from kind of, I say the left and right, but either from east and west. First of all, I will bring Sean on if everybody's able to bring it. And welcome, Sean. Sean Scott is the Executive Director of the Construction Safety Association of Manitoba, and a nationally recognized and respected voice in the construction health and safety field. You'll see from his bio that he does hold professional designations, including the CRSP, the NCSO, and the Gold Seal Construction Safety Coordinator. Through his work on national provincial safety committees, he continues to shape the future workplace safety in Canada. I can also say that Sean sought out for advice from folks from across the country. He's in his own province on the advisory committee for Minister. He's not only worked within CSAM, took I'll call it a bit of a hiatus for a few years, went to work in industry, kind of in the commercial industrial sector for 7 years, lending his expertise there before returning and joining us as part of our federated body. So thanks, Sean. Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you, Colin.
And also bring on my colleague from Alberta, Mark Hussain. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Mark is the Chief Executive Officer of Alberta Construction Safety Association and has extensive experience in the areas of construction project management, safety, corporate governance, and industrial relations. He has held a number of key positions in organizations like Alberta Infrastructure and Alberta Housing. He does hold a Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the University of Alberta, also has a Master's of Business Admin from Royal Roads University. Mark and I will sometimes even bump into each other at Institute of Corporate Directors, kind of the national conferences. And Mark serves, one of the areas that he serves on a volunteer basis is with Edmonton Libraries. He's on their board of directors as well as serving others as well. So welcome again, Mark. I'm excited about having both of you on this topic. and to everybody else, welcome and thank you. I think we've got a couple hundred or more people that are, and some people are still kind of putting their greetings. You'll see that pop in there. And so we have, again, at least a couple hundred people that are joining us to participate in this. This particular topic on mobility is very much in the context of what we've been faced with over the last year, where the emphasis from both a political and just a plain business perspective is how do we move labor and as well as business activity east and western our country more efficiently and more effectively. And so I couldn't really think of anybody else better than the two of you, considering the amount of trade that happens between our three provinces. And but maybe what I thought I'd do is people will see the logo, the CSA, and some people may or may not be familiar with what that is. Sean, you're our resident historian in our group. I wonder if you can talk a bit about the federation and just in broad strokes, like what we're all about, and maybe that'll kind of get us warmed up.
Sure. So the CSA is the Canadian Federation of Construction Safety Associations, and in essence, it's a national umbrella group for all construction safety associations across Canada. So all jurisdictions are represented, with the one exception of Prince Edward Island, because they do not have a construction safety association. Long and short, it was originally In the late 1990s, some of the associations that were in place, there wasn't everybody then, but then in 2000, we actually formalized with meetings, annual meetings, and representation. And what we try to do is sharing of information, collaboration, and harmonization where possible. And the Canadian Federation of Construction Safety Associations, just to bring very close to home for a majority of people listening, is we shepherd 3 national designations or certification programs. And the obvious one that we're going to talk about is COR, the National COR Accreditation Standard, and the National Construction Safety Officer and National Health and Safety Administration designations. So there's a lot to unpack in all of that, but super generalized. That's where it's at. And yeah, the historian, I'm actually just peeking over to the side. I have a whole bunch of information going back from 2000. So I took over as director here, as Colin had mentioned, in 2002, and majority of the information records from the CSA is maintained here on my file, so to speak.
Great, thanks, Sean, and Mark. You, I, and our colleagues across the country are consistently talking about kind of the context, the broader economic context in terms of trade relations across the country. And you and I probably have some similarities in terms of the areas of economic development and interprovincial trade. I wonder, would you take a minute to talk about, I guess, the context of trade, particularly? I'm thinking kind of the New West Partnership beginning, and then to the national level. Would you? You've got a broad history in that.
Yeah, thanks, Colin, and thanks for welcoming me here. Like building on what Sean said, is that we as construction safety associations came together because we want to enable business. We want to enable your business to work safe, but also work more effectively and efficiently, and a concentration on safety allows that. When you're talking about one of the ways that we can help, it is that interprovincial movement of companies and the recognition of your COR certification. And so, across the Western provinces, there is an agreement among the public sector, among the provincial governments, the New West Partnership Agreement, that says that you should be able to bid on work in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and not be penalized if you're not necessarily a local company to those provinces. So if you're a construction company in Saskatchewan and you have the ability and expertise to bid on work in Alberta and you can execute it, you should be unencumbered by that ability. And the reason that's so important is because it creates opportunity and competition across the Western provinces, and provides some opportunities for companies to grow and expand, get different experiences. But we can do that hand in hand with you. So a lot of public sectors, I would say most public sector work, requires a COR certification as a pre-qualification element to bid their work. And that's where we come in as the CFCSA members to be able to facilitate bidding through that New West Partnership Agreement opportunity.
Great, thanks, Mark. Well, this gives some really good context because, about a year ago, the Canadian Free Trade Act was brought in. It is modeled very much, after what we've seen in the New West Partnership. The New West Partnership, by the way, is like at $800 billion over that in economic activity. So, construction makes up, going from year to year, will make about 8.5% to 10% of that GDP. So it is a significant portion of economic activity that moves through the Western provinces. So that is a lot of work. That's a lot of chicken dinners, and a lot of families being supported when that work gets done. So what I want to ask both of you, and I'm not necessarily, you can jump in wherever you feel like, in this context of kind of this national new strategy on supporting trade east and west, where are the safety associations? Where have they been? And over the last 25 years or so, into being able to provide the kind of infrastructure to allow for that. And maybe I'll start with you, Sean. I know I said either one could jump in, but
Sure.
Sean, you've got a lot of depth in this.
I'm not sure if your minister is still on board or listening, but this might come off the wrong way, but you're a little slow, but at least you're coming around, right? At least you're coming. So the CSAA, that was our initiation in 2000, is to assist with the harmonization of programs, and if there wasn't, to ensure that we recognize the programs of each other. And we have MOUs going back to 2000, updated in 2005, 2010, 2020, 23, and now moving on to our AGM coming up. So the actual assistance and or the recognition of programs across Canada, the construction industry already has it in place. The CFCSA, if you take a program that's here in Manitoba and one of our contractors wants to go into New Brunswick, our training program is recognized. No different, we're talking specifically about COR. The answer is yes. If you are COR certified in Saskatchewan, you want to come be recognized in Manitoba for the COR that you have achieved in Saskatchewan, the answer is yes, period. That's what reciprocity is all about. We recognize that COR is, and as Mark had made mention regarding the condition of tender or condition of contract that's in place, COR is generalized one of those conditions that are in place. So if you would like the bid work, the answer is yes, we recognize it. Some of the members of the CFCSA, and Manitoba is one of them, we also provide full equivalency for all of the work that you've actually done. If you want to achieve COR certification status here in Manitoba, we just ask you fill out a provincial supplement, which is the requirements for all contractors here in Manitoba. And maybe Colin and Mark, just a clarification, and one of the thing is COR is a national COR accreditation standard, but it must be granted in the jurisdiction that you're actually working with. And over the course of the last 20, 25 years, some contractors that jump from province to province, they're like, well, I thought you said COR is a national program. How come it's a little bit different at every jurisdiction? And in my mind, that is the extreme value that COR and the CFCSA provides to contractors, is that the basis of the national accreditation standard, there's 14 elements that are agreed upon. They are the same across Canada. The tool that's actually utilized is a little bit different, could be a little bit different, because there's an audit instrument to choose and to validate it. Over time, again, the CFCSA recognized the reason why that's super important is in each jurisdiction, it's no different. You have different compensation laws, you have different workplace safety and health laws. What the CFCSA membership does is it gives you recognition for the framework and the standard that you have, but once you come into the jurisdiction, there's the nuances, and we tell you exactly what those are that are in addition or variance to what you're doing across or in your home jurisdiction. And it's a huge value. And rather than utilizing a large contractor, and I don't know if you want to talk about the Canadian Construction Sector Council, the 12 large contractors here, the majority of them have location jurisdiction, and what the COR program does for them is gives them the framework. Here it is, what we're looking at, but each of those supplemental sections pulls out the very specific requirements from legislative requirements and or whatever the stakeholders are in your jurisdiction, and it's extremely valuable. And to simplify matters is the CFCSA has actually incorporated harmonized documents. So if you would like to receive reciprocity, the form that a Manitoba contractor will fill out is the same as one in Quebec or the same as one in BC. So they're identical documents. Similarly speaking, 10 of those 13 jurisdictions that have the authority to grant COR certification utilize the exact same harmonized audit instrument, or the tool that you use to validate it is the exact same. So there's a lot of really good things that are actually happening regarding reciprocity and recognition of programs. But again, the CFCSA, understanding that contractors do jump around, they go where the work is, so to speak. if they have the opportunity. And we're here to assist and make that as simple as possible. The long and the short of it is your Construction Safety Association. Quite bluntly, we work for you, the contractors. So if you would like assistance to bid work in Saskatchewan, Alberta, or wherever, Newfoundland, our job is to help you. And we have great relationships and contacts with the CFCSA membership to make that as smooth as possible for you. So there's a lot of information. Again, Colin, Mark, sorry, but
well said, Sean. Well said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just real quick. I mean, I can't add to the detail that Sean has, but what I would say is I think that he's being quite modest. The work that was done and continues to be done by the CFCSA is the model that can be used for all other safety certifications to move across the country. We have recognition of what each other, the 98% of what we do is the same, and the 2% that what we have to do is different because of regulatory complexities or legislative complexities. And we make those things, instead of concentrating on 100%, we take the 98% that's the same and ask you to do the 2% wherever you're going to be. We make that transition as smooth as possible because, like Sean said, we serve the contractors. And so I think the model exists to make the harmonization, recognition for all other certifications across the country. It exists, and it was developed primarily through the work of the CFCSA. And I'm encouraged to see some further recognition by decision makers about what has been done and what can be done moving forward.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. You and I have had a couple of conversations about it, how unique this is. This is not. This doesn't cross every sector in the country. It is rather unique to construction itself. And could you talk a little bit about that, some of the uniquenesses and comparators?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you just think about it, like starting even just with the recognition of, red sealed skilled trades across the country, right? Like that has had a massive impact in Canada to have that recognition across the country. And we piggybacked on that kind of recognition as the CFCSA. But if you look at how difficult it is for other industries, and I just mean like, try selling craft beer across provincial lines. It's almost impossible without infinite regulatory complexities. And so I'm encouraged by the fact that construction, like Sean says, our contractors go where the work is. We have some of the largest companies in North America that are Canadian born and bred in the construction industry. And they want us to work with them it's not to eliminate barriers necessarily. Everybody understands there's nuances to different legislative requirements. It's how do we navigate those things? How can we make it as easy as possible? There isn't an organization that I can tell like this. There's a lot of national organizations that for industries, they concentrate on advocacy. The biggest difference for us, I think, is the CFCSA advocates for safer work, not necessarily all of this regulatory change that could take years or decades. We actually are solutions focused for what works the best on the ground and with our members. And so that's not to take a shot at any other national industry organization, but I just think our focus is different. And I think we understand where we can add the most value as a federation, and we're executing against that. And I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing from some of the decision makers about how they're recognizing the method that we're using.
Yeah, thanks. I know today we're talking about COR specifically, but Sean did mention a couple of other programs, our National Health and Safety Administrative Program, our NCSO, or National Construction Safety Officer Program. And I think those are also, they are complementary to this big COR program that's national. And there's so many similarities in terms of the abilities to be able to move across the country. I think it's important to talk about that. I also think it's important, if we can, talk about our association's relationship with the Canadian Construction Association and how the integration and the laddering into many of their nationally recognized programs as well. We've talked about their Gold Seal program, I think, in the introduction for our chair, to be a Gold Seal in the construction management sector. One of the avenues is actually through our National Construction Safety Officer program. And I wonder, Sean, you've sat around the table in different committees at the CCA level. Could you maybe expand a little bit on the importance and the integration, our relationship with the construction sector, kind of at that national level?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess, success breeds success might be, and again, this might be a little bit, might not be the right thing to say, but it's in the framework. And so we've had the NCSO program was put in place, similar to, again, condition of contractor, condition of tender, whereas if COR was the requirement that you needed to have an individual that was able to implement the COR program on your job site. And in essence, that's what the NCSO is. It gives somebody the ability to, a valuable person to assist with the implementation of your safety and health management system on a job site. So COR gives you the field level experience, or NCSO gives you the field level experience to be able to do that. And what had happened is the CCA had different programs in place for Gold Seal. And in the mid 2000s, 2005 approximately, they decided that they want to implement a Gold Seal construction safety coordinator designation. And recognizing the value of the CFC and CSA and the NCSO program, we were asked to participate on their Gold Seal committee. And I was the representative from the CSA. And the long and the short of it is Gold Seal is a 5-year experience. NCSO requires 3. Everything that you have for NCSO for the course requirements leading up to meeting that was recognized by CCA, and it was an automatic stepping stone that you were automatically qualified if you can validate the additional 2 years to write the national exam for that. So again, it was because the CFCSA had a program that was recognized and being implemented across Canada. CCA is another national association that wanted to implement Gold Seal, took our program as the baseline or the foundation, and it was the stepping stone to get the national one. So there's been some great information and collaboration. And one of the things just wanted to add is, I know that from our association, we used to use a slogan that was really in essence taken from the CFCSA, which is a program by the industry for the industry. And I think it's very important to keep that in the back of the mind, because again, all the construction safety associations, repeating myself, we work for contractors. Majority, almost all of the construction safety associations have a contract in place where the WCBs collect a levy, whereas the employers in the construction industry actually fund your construction safety association. So again, we work for you. And understanding the importance of being relevant and servicing the people that are paying for your services is we provide something that's of use and of value and is effective for them. So utilizing, I know I'm talking a whole bunch, but coming back to the implementation of the national recognition of NCSO towards the Gold Seal and dealing with CCA is quite important. And I think, again, recognizing CCA is also recognizing the value for the CFCSA members. We are the ones that are interacting directly with the contractors in every single jurisdiction. It isn't an association of membership. We literally have contact with every single construction employer here in Manitoba. It's no different with yourself, Colin, or yourself, Mark. You have the ins and the contact to service and communicate directly with the boots on the ground.
Great. Thanks, Sean. And I'll just pause to mention it. If people have questions, we're going to have a lot of content here in probably the next 30 minutes or so. I think we've got left. But please drop questions in the chat. What we'll try to do is, if we're as we're kind of moving our conversation along, we may address the question. We may not be able to. If we have a few minutes at the end, that we can entertain some. Folks who are moderating on the digital side for us will pop some of this on the screen, and really appreciate questions that folks may have. Mark, just a little bit of a shift here is in terms of the impact of the COR program from a national perspective. We've got I guess probably approaching about 11,000 active CORs across the country, by far the largest single sample of a program in North America. It competes even at a global level, but this is a Canadian product. Are there any, lots of times we're kind of thrown alternative safety management systems. Could you maybe comment on, and I'm going to ask this question, hey, is this an equivalent? Can I use that instead? You've got a great perspective on this. I'd like to hear.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And honestly, COR has been evaluated and studied by post-secondaries. There's a big study out of UBC on the efficacy of COR. There's been studies, I think, across Canada in jurisdictions. We're currently doing one right now with recent Alberta data, and I'm happy to share that when it's complete. We're doing it through the University of Alberta Construction Innovation Center. But it is the only safety management system that has proven to improve performance. And that goes with everything. ISO, any of the OSHA stuff down south. That's not to say that those safety management systems aren't inherently bad. It's just COR has proven that it's effective, and there are reasons for why it's effective. Number one, like Sean said, it is an industry solution to an industry problem. And so it is directly informed by the workers and the owners that will implement it. So they're on the ground. It's informed by what's going on. Number two is the audit function of COR is actually very, very effective in understanding what is going on in your safety management system and where there are gaps. And so sometimes the criticism of COR is that it's very prescriptive, but it's sometimes prescriptive in the sense that we get consistency in the evaluation through the audit. Other safety management systems, you are completely left to the whim and the competency of the auditor without the kind of direction that you get through the COR program. And so it is a very good evaluatory tool. And at the essence of it, it is about continuous improvement. It's not necessarily just about, do you have all this stuff? You're good. It's about, how am I doing compared to the last time I did this? Where are my areas that I have gaps? How can I build on the strengths of my safety management system's performance? That is, in my mind, the largest difference between the COR program and any of the other safety management options out there. It is about continuous improvement through evaluation. And so that's where we are with COR. I understand, sometimes folks that have had COR for a long time may feel some audit fatigue or things like that. But I think in the essence, and we're talking about this at the CSA, how do we keep that forward momentum, that continuous improvement mindset for the organization that's had COR for 35 years? You still are not perfect. Sorry to tell you. You might be almost there, but you're not there. And there's always things that we can improve on. There's new methodologies, new technologies. You're going to talk about it today with the high energy, evaluations, high energy control assessments. There are new things that are coming out. That doesn't necessarily replace what's tried and true. It's just a new way to think, and we want COR. COR is the one safety management system, I think, that can incorporate those most effectively.
Yeah, and Colin, just want to make note or add to that. And unfortunately for Saskatchewan, you're not part of this group. But the WCBs across Canada have recognized the value and the benefit of COR. And 7 of the jurisdictions across Canada have an incentive program or a rebate program for contractors that have actually achieved COR. So here in Manitoba, if you're COR certified, you are automatically eligible for a 15% rebate on whatever you pay the WCB. In Alberta, and Mark can correct me, but you have a Partners in Injury Reduction program. It's 10% for COR and 10% for an effective return to work, so up to 20% is back. And then there's Prime program, SOCI program, Practice Incentive program, and Choices program in other Canadian jurisdictions. So not only, it's not just us saying it and or a third party did the evaluation. These are all WCBs recognizing that if you're COR certified, you have a far less likely chance of costing them money. So they are giving you money back to say, hey, if you have a program in place, thank you, keep it up. You're actually going to be helping reducing their costs.
That rebate program pays for itself. It really does. And it gives, it rewards good performance and good evaluation of your safety management system. And it saves the system money from claims and, that would otherwise have happened. So it is a great program. It's the #1 incentive for Alberta. Like it's a large reason why, especially smaller employers, buy into the program initially. But it's once they're in, they start to realize all of the other benefits that they get by engaging with us. The ability to bid across provinces, have recognition across the country, even opportunities for increased work. Those are all things that they don't consider initially, but actually enjoy after they go through the process.
Yeah, and just to touch on what Mark was talking about in terms of continuous improvement. So the COR program, or COR program, June 15th, 2000 was first implemented and agreed upon under the CSAA. It was revised in 2005, June 9th, June 10th, 2010, June 11th, 2021, and we are currently reviewing the National COR Accreditation Standard, and we have our AGM, Annual General Meeting, is happening in June, and we are looking to upgrade. That's not the right term, because we're reviewing and will revise to ensure that the National COR Accreditation Standard remains relevant. So there's a consistent review, and continuous improvement is the philosophy behind it. So there's not going to be significant changes again for the companies that are COR certified. You're already doing it. You're not going to be all of a sudden, oh my God, there's 20 new elements that are happening here. It's just minor changes.
Yeah, for sure. There's a question before I jump into that one. It says, hi, you did say eligible for additional discount WCB. How do we access additional discount? And for clarity, that exists in one form in Manitoba, as well as in Alberta. Different forms. Each province has a different way to approach. Here, it's really just an overall reduction in rate. I can tell you, and this might partially answer one of the other questions that popped up on the screen, just from our own experience. And I think there was an opening video that said there was a 48% drop in injuries over the last decades. When we add the last couple of years to that, it's more like a 64% reduction in injuries in Saskatchewan construction sector. But a company that is COR certified is they're actually the leading group in that. So there's about a 30% differential between the average of 64% and the COR companies. And we've been able to pull that through analytics that separates COR companies from non-COR. Very, very strong indicator of that. They also, we've got a number of companies, well over 800 companies that have participated in what we call a culture survey. It's the operational performance metrics survey put together by, originated out of the Institute of Work and Health in Toronto, affiliated with the University of Toronto, and used across the country over the last 15 years. I know Alberta Ministry of Labor has used it extensively. And in a sampling of over 800 companies, again, core companies have show a demonstrable difference from those who are not. But it's also given us an indicator of what areas that companies can focus on, just through an 8-question survey, what they could focus on in their own companies to improve their performance. And it's not just safety. Mark, you alluded to this, not just safety performance, but overall business performance. And so I think that's important to recognize as well. One of the questions was how many firms there are, and I said it really quickly. But also, Sean, on your site, you've got one of the press releases that we'd sent out not that long ago, and perhaps you want to talk about that just in terms of the volume in Canada.
Yeah, and I just typed in the chat there a little bit. In 2025, there is 10,773 COR certified companies across Canada, and the question there in the chat was, how has this changed year over year? So this press release came out in 2023, and it was a big announcement. There's over 10,000 firms. So in 2025, there's an additional 773 added, right? So COR continues to grow in Manitoba. Again, put it into the chat there. From our construction industry payroll, 57% of the entire workforce here in Manitoba work directly for a COR certified company. So that's Manitoba. I'm not 100% sure what the case is, but I think it would be fairly similar that a lot of the companies work directly. And that's the thing to remember about that is they work directly. Their paycheck is coming from a COR certified. A lot of those contractors are large prime contractors, general constructors, whatever you're calling your major person there. And what happens is COR companies have an extreme amount of influence on what happens on a job site. So even if there's other companies that may not be COR certified or haven't chosen to go that route, they are working with or for a company that is COR certified that influences how they identify, communicate, and control the potential hazards on the job site. So COR's, again, it's a fantastic program. We've tried to evolve it to ensure that it remains relevant to contractors and ultimately that it provides value to the contractors. And again, statistics are statistics. You can play with them a little bit, but it is on our website as well, constructionsafety.ca. We do identify each industry code, and we identify how many are COR certified, and then we classify the WCB what they call severe injuries. These are injuries that last beyond 60 days, and in essence, they cost the system of WCB about 80%. And we validate COR versus non-COR. And so of those severe injuries, how many happened in a COR certified firm and how many happened in a non-COR certified environment? And again, the majority happened in the non-certified environment. But if you take the payroll size, again, that we have right now 969 companies that are COR certified here in Manitoba. And of that, we service probably about 7,500 companies. So it's about 10% that are actually COR certified, but they represent 56% of the payroll. So you can imagine the value if you start breaking that, the impact that actually shows the value of COR.
Yeah, I think we have a similar situation in Alberta. We have about 45 to 4,800 COR certified, COR, C-COR, small employer COR certified employers. And that fluctuates just depending on the time that the audit is executed. So it's, a point in time. But it hovers around just around 5,000. That, like Sean said, represents almost 70% of the construction workforce in Alberta. And it's important to remember that, 80 to 85% of the industry is 4 employees and under. And so what the metric that we really look at, like COR is very important. The metric that Sean articulated, of what percentage of the payroll or the workforce works under a COR company, that is a better measure of what the success is. And like Sean said, a lot of those 4 to 1 employee companies, they subcontract to a COR company. And so there's that discipline around hazard management, prime contractor knowledge, the proper controls in place that filter down to those smaller companies. We still serve those companies, but the program might not be super excellent for you if you're a 1-person show, but you still will work with a company that has COR as part of their everyday operation. And so, it is a success story, like you said, Colin, a made in Canada success story, and one that I'm happy to be a part of.
Yeah, great. Thanks to both of you. I'll in one sense build a little bit on it, and then I'll shift the conversation just a little bit. But in Saskatchewan, we are a province of small businesses. That's who we are. I think similar. I mean, you go across the prairies, this is going to be pretty similar. For folks who are interested, if they do a search on the small business profile in Saskatchewan, they'll find a yearly report that breaks down some of those numbers. So, when you talk about the 95% are 4 and under, that's pretty consistent in Saskatchewan and consistent in the construction sector. So when we do get our analysis done on the effectiveness of COR with companies, we kind of have to break it off at levels of 12 and 28 as opposed to, we got a company with 300 or 500 people. Frankly, it's less than 1% have more than 50 employees in Saskatchewan. And so, a person could certainly, if they're interested, look at that. Can I pivot a little bit into the how people are able to, the steps that generally they would take if they're new to this? Some companies, they're quite accustomed to doing this, but we do have folks who are watching that are, they're a small business right now. They haven't really looked at bidding on work outside of the province, but if they were going to do that, and they wanted, steps of, okay, well, how hard is this, or how difficult is this going to be if I'm really interested in bidding? From both of your perspectives, how does it work? And I can talk about kind of how it works in Saskatchewan, and people can tell. We'll be able to tell, is there a subtle difference they got to worry about, or is this pretty common? So, maybe Sean, I'll start with you.
Sure. So quite simply, as we started earlier, the answer is yes. But so if you need help, if you want to achieve COR certification or reciprocity in a different jurisdiction, the first step is to come to CSAM. Our COR program manager, Keith Stefano, he will actually fill out the harmonized application form and send it off to the jurisdiction. So again, it's a service for us. Our job is to help a contractor. If they want to go bid somewhere else that requires COR, they come to us. We'll take care of it for them. Depending on the jurisdiction, again, as mentioned, the reciprocity, there might be a requirement for an additional declaration letter saying that you do not have a permanent base of operations. You're coming in here. If you do come here, you'll let us know. Simple as that. So on the CSAA website, there is information regarding reciprocity on our website, on each of the CSA's websites, the Construction Safety Association's websites, who are members of the CSAA. There's a COR tab, and there's also a reciprocity tab. But the information, the simplest one is contact your local Construction Safety Association. So in Saskatchewan, they would contact the Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. If it's a Manitoba contractor wanting to get equivalency or reciprocity anywhere else, they contact CSAM, and we take care of all the legwork for them.
Mark, from your end?
Sure, and that is a very detailed outline of the equivalency process, which is very important. I think if you are a company that doesn't have COR, the steps are very similar to what Sean articulated. Call your safety association. We're here to serve you. We have advisors in Alberta that will take you on a one-on-one through the process of what you need to do to start. The first milestone for us is a temporary letter of certification, which demonstrates that you have an appropriate safety management system in place. We'll take you through that. And all of the CFCSA members, they have information, templates, guidance on exactly how to get your safety management system up and running to a standard that is effective, right? They have consultative services. They have folks that will help you. They have online resources. They have YouTube videos to do it. We have that in Alberta. It's no different than Manitoba, Saskatchewan, I'm sure. So there's also a training component, like it says here. And it's a little bit different depending on the jurisdiction, but still not very arduous. It's really just meant to give you the base level information that you need to be able to successfully implement the safety management system in your organization. That's all it is. This isn't about academic work. It's we're not asking you to cram and study at all hours of the night. This is very, very applicable, tactile information so that you can succeed. And then you go through the process. Take the training. Make sure that you have your documentation and your safety management system in place, and then you evaluate that part, and you get your temporary letter of certification, which means I've got all of this in place, and now we're going to make sure that it works over the course of the next period to eventually get the COR certification. It's not difficult. It does take some time, not a significant, insane amount of time, but we're here, like Sean said, we serve the contractor. We're here to help you through that process because we want you to succeed. We want you to get there.
Yeah. And along that lines, tease a little bit, but generally speaking, the COR program, our job is to actually teach people to take care of themselves. So in essence, that's why there's a training component to it. Then you implement it, and then it's actually validated. And we're saying that we tease a little bit that, if you want to actually, you can imagine yourself in school or high school and say, hey, we're going to have a test on your safety and health management system. It's coming up in 2 months' time. Here's a copy of the test. And guess what? If you have any questions, you contact us. We'll provide you with the information and the required answers for that. It is very, very straightforward. There is no surprises. Our audit is actually on our website, our questions, the observations that we're looking for. There is no surprises. One of the other things just regarding that and the CFCSA is there are generalized 4 required competencies or courses that individuals must be able to do. It's the health and safety management system itself, leadership of safety excellence, generalizing its, I'll give you the right terminology, it's leadership training and communication, safety auditor training, then hazard ID and control. 3 of those 4 required training courses are standardized and harmonized across Canada. CFCSA has a training standard for those courses. So if we're talking about recognition or reciprocity, if you've taken leadership of safety excellence or safety auditor training in Manitoba, it's recognized in New Brunswick, it's recognized in Saskatchewan, it's recognized in Alberta. You don't have to retake training for the sake of training. It's actually you receive recognition for the training that you've done because we do have harmonized training standards.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I think from Saskatchewan, it's very, very similar. Thanks for bringing up the website, Emery. A lot of this information is right on our website, right on the very page that is being shown right now on your screen. If someone's bidding work, they contact Safety Association. We will provide very quickly the information letter that will go off to the association in the province that you're bidding in, and we can do that. We can turn that around very, very quickly. We would encourage you that if you're bidding on work and it closes on in a week from now, don't wait till the day before to do that. Give us a couple days to make sure that we can get the information transmitted to the right person so that you can have that letter to allow you to bid. We do have further steps that when you do acquire that work, successfully acquire that work, and you begin that some of the elements Sean was talking about before, some of the additional requirements to make sure that you can be fully recognized in that province occurs. For Saskatchewan, all that information is very transparent. We will do a desktop audit on a couple of additional parameters. One of them, for example, in Saskatchewan, you need to have a very distinct harassment policy file, which may look a little bit different in Manitoba, may look a little different in Alberta, but it is required by regulation and legislation here. So we want to ensure that you are fully aware of that and that you have that in place. The big thing that companies want to be able to do is give confidence to the person who's buying their services. And what we want to be able to do is to give you that tool to give them confidence. So that's why we'll have these extra steps in there at times. Like Mark said, 98% of it is exactly the same, but these nuances that happen as you move across the country are things that we don't necessarily have control over or influence over, but are important nonetheless. We want to make sure you have those tools. Mm-hmm. Anything else to add on that, Mark or Sean? I know we're getting close here, but
yeah, no, and I think just to maybe add to where you're at or what you're saying regarding when you get into you have to validate. The biggest purchaser of construction here in Manitoba is the government. We call it Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation. And specific on their contract language, it says you must have COR certification as validated through CSAM. Because they know us, they don't know Alberta Construction Safety Association. They understand that if we say that they're COR certified, that it's real. And one of the other things, and I know this is maybe taking us down a different road, but Mark deals with this a lot, is the only nationally or the only registered and nationally recognized program is COR. It's the National COR Accreditation Standard. Some jurisdictions use a COR program, they call it COR, and again, have the history behind it of why things happen the way they are. It is what it is now, and Alberta is a good example. Some other associations call their safety and health management system COR. It is not the Construction National COR Accreditation Standard. It is the government's program that they have in place for COR. So, yeah, I just want to again, part of that is clarification, is that's why they ask us. So they know who we are. We validate that all contractors that are doing work are doing, it's apples to apples, right? So, and that's kind of why we ask for maybe some extra, or we provide you with the supplement. And that's just satisfying the outside personnel or the contract to assist. But again, more importantly, what that does, going back to we help contractors understand and navigate those jurisdictional differences. So that's our supplement, no different than what you have in yours, Colin, is very specific to legislation and or to maybe some other stakeholder requirement that all contractors in Saskatchewan have to do.
Right. For us, and for folks that are interested, I think this might have been brought up on the screen earlier, but we list all of the active COR companies on our website. And so oftentimes people are saying, hey, listen, I have a company that's bidding on work that I'm issuing. They want to be able to validate who's actually active. Is their COR active? So we put you on our website to show you that, to show that whoever's purchasing that, yes, they're active and live. Certainly people can reach out and call us, but there it is. Yeah, we put it out there for the world to see. Where their status is, if they're fully certified, if they've been issued equivalency, or if they've registered. So they can certainly reach out to our team if they need further detail. As that, I know for both of your organizations, it's very much the same. So again, our focus here is making sure that we can support companies as they move east and west, or north, I guess would be the other area. I shouldn't neglect our northern partners. but to make sure that companies and individuals are able to move as smoothly as possible between these jurisdictions, and keep their work moving. So we're almost a quarter to the hour. We're going to wrap up in just a few minutes, but Mark and Sean, I really appreciate you taking this time. I think this is an important conversation. It's different than perhaps a safety-focused discussion. We're going to have lots of that on, the energy wheel, dropped objects, those kinds of things. But this was much more about how do we support businesses on their safety journey as they are trying to continue to do business across the country. Mark, have you got any thoughts that you want to just close off with, and I'll give you the floor for a couple minutes.
Sure. First, there's just a question from Tristan Sloan.
Oh,
So Tristan, all I'm going to say is yes, just call us. We'll help you. We'll help you figure this out. You can come to the ACSA. If you pay a premium to the ACSA in Alberta, come on. We'll help you, just like Sean said, just like I said. We'll figure this out for you. And yeah, so I'll leave it at that. Call the ACSA office and we'll figure it out. My final words here are just, COR started as an industry solution to an industry problem. And it has been very successful. And sometimes people forget how actually successful this program has been. It is got proven benefits for companies that implement it, not only on the incident, accident, and safety management side, but also on the business performance and the opportunities to work side. As the CFCSA, I feel like we are the shepherds of this program. We all have our own different jurisdictional challenges, but we work together as a unit to be able to move this program forward and improve it, make sure it's responsive to the needs and changes in industry, but also that it's still effective, And so this is what we are here for. And I am encouraged by the movement across the country that they want something similar to happen for our industry, and that we have laid the groundwork to make that successful. So we're here to serve industry. It's been said many times, but I don't want to forget that the center of the Construction Safety Associations is the construction industry. And we're here to make sure what we have is not only effective for industry, but effective to improve health and safety outcomes.
great. Thanks, Mark. And Sean, any final thoughts for you?
I don't know. I was actively listening to Mark, which was awesome. No, just final thoughts again. Echoing what Mark had said, is the Construction Safety Association that you pay your levy for, that you are participating with, our job is to help you. So our exceptional customer service, quality, and value is what we strive for. I think one of the things when we talk about the Canadian Federation, one of the huge values is that we actively share with each other. So if there's asbestos is a big deal here, there's now a new training standard requirement in Manitoba dealing with asbestos, and we talked to BC, we talked to Alberta, we talked to Saskatchewan and Newfoundland, and we got all this information where we could actually create and implement the program that actually meets the requirements. So you have a huge reach. So every person in construction, the CFCSA, or every company somehow actually touches. So our ability to help service you is immense. And I know that, again, from Manitoba's perspective, a lot of our programming is based upon the hard work that other associations have actually put in place. And then once we do it, we again share it, we continuous improvement, we enhance a little bit, share it out with everybody. And it's not a vicious cycle. It is I don't know what a better term for that is, but it's a very positive cycle where everyone's actually looking to assist and help each other. And then when we do have these standards put in place, or these designations that we do shepherd, is to ensure that they may remain relevant and of value to the construction industry. So long and short of it, please reach out to your safety association. Literally, our job is to help.
Great. Thanks to both of you again. We could have dove in a lot of different areas, everything from legal assurance to, we could have had a big range of topics here, but I really appreciate us, the two of you helping us with kind of understanding the big picture, how we collaborate to be sure that our companies get the best service out that we can provide. We are all a little bit different. Some people have hair, some don't, across the country, and some look really great in a suit, and but I really appreciate all my colleagues. I particularly want to thank Sean and Mark for taking this time and concentration to have this discussion. And with that, we are at the end of our time. I'm going to hand the reins back to Zach and Jen. And I really appreciate everybody who's tuned in and watched us today. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much, and be safe.
Awesome. Take care.